Welcome to my guest. Pardon me if I start with Ife, because she's the only female here.
It's okay.
And she's the only first-timer on this panel.
Okay.
So Ife Nwuke is a lawyer by profession, and she is a businesswoman who, at some point in time, decided that I'm not going to sit on the sidelines. I'm going to at least run for office. I don't know what happened. And sitting next to her is Obafemi George. I call him my chairman because I live in Etiosa local government, but he ran for the primaries, he didn't get it. But Obafemi didn't stop. He's still an active member of his party.
Absolutely.
Welcome to Seriously Speaking.
Thank you very much.
And of course, my Aburo, that has grown with the times, who in recent times has gotten a lot of backlash in social media because of the kinds of things he's done in politics. But however, he remains one of the most powerful social critics around. And you'll remain my little brother, whether or not.
Forever.
Omojuwa, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Especially for retweeting my tweets.
It's
the
pleasure
few that I
always
do.
mine.
You know, so first of all, let me start with Ife, like I said. Ife, at some point, you realized, I've done all of this, right? I want to serve my people. What was it that drove you to want to do that?
Okay, thank you. It's so nice to be here. When I thought of it, in fact, I was just tired of complaining. I had, taken my strolls in the morning, and I noticed quite a bit on the streets. And I was like, who is in charge? And suddenly I realized that we've been sitting on the sidelines for too long. Why can't we do something about it? How can I impact better? And coming from the fact that I've led quite a team, and I felt that it would be good if I take that step further and try being in the helm of affairs and take charge.
So why did you think about, you're from Imo State?
Yes, I
am. You're
am.
from Olu. Why did you think, okay, go to Olu? Meanwhile, you pay tax in Lagos. You spend all your money in Lagos.
Well, that's the irony of politics in Nigeria, which I think probably when our cohort come into play, we're going to change.
Cohort, that is your generation.
Yes, because if I've spent over 30 years here, this is where I know. In as much as I'm from Imo State, is my home place, is where I go during seasons. So it's not what I do all the time, but this is where I live. So I think that conversation will come into play by the time we have that.
I guess it's hope like that that keeps people like Obafemi going, right? Because, I mean, Obafemi did it, I call it the American way, going around meeting his constituents, and yet you were not selected at the primaries, but you still remain a committed member of your party. Absolutely. So are you looking at that change that's going to come eventually to stick with what you're doing?
Oh, yes, I am. I am the change that will come eventually. And I have to stay there to happen one day. One thing I learned when I started, I knew from day one that this is not a 100-meter dash. It's a marathon. And that was why I was willing to even stay that long within the party structure, to become a party member, to become an ESCO member, before even thinking of running. It took me 8 years. So I've studied the system, I have studied the structure, I have blended within the system, quote and unquote, before I came out to run. And because I didn't get it the first time, doesn't mean I'm not going to get it the second time or the third time. I'm in for a lifetime.
So is that a trait that's good? No, coming from this side, we don't know. We go out to vote or we go out to change opinion. How do we know those who are in it for the long run or in it to win it?
People like him are unusual because most people that are in for the long term feed from it. I know he's a businessman. I know the work he does. He earns his money and his living outside of politics. So it's possible for him to do that. But more often than not, those that are in that system, that thrive in that system, they have a generation in that system that has fed off the fact that they are political animals. So, but George is a different animal entirely.
Okay, I just wonder though, you see, but the brunt of some of the things that we do is that we could be on the wrong side of the people. That happened with you recently.
What do you mean by be on the wrong side?
Because people claim that people like you, were the ones that are responsible for the kind of government that we have today. See,
the thing is, I think that's unfortunate because I'm just a small element in the reality of Nigeria.
Oh, you should be feeling very proud.
I feel like in 2015...
that, they count you to be that
I'm supposed to be humble. I feel like in 2015, Nigeria had a choice. In my opinion, this would piss everybody off that voted one way or the other. In my opinion, it was a choice between bad and worse. It was not a choice between good or bad. It was not a choice between good or better. In reality, it was a choice between bad and worse. And anyone could read an article by The Economist when they endorsed one of the candidates who eventually won. They almost said they would put their hand on their nose and choose this guy. They didn't make the choice saying he's going to do something extraordinary, he's going to revolutionize the reality of Nigeria. They said, look, this other guy is a disaster. This other guy has some old ideas that may not work, but in the reality of this stuff, we would go for him. And I think that was a rational position to take, but I didn't run the government,
Wait,
so
what
you're
do you
not
think
going to
about that?
blame me
Because
for that.
at the end of the day, it seems to me that when we vote, what are we thinking about? If our decisions, what's driving our decisions? And were you thinking about things like that when you thought, I'm going to run someday?
The assertion he just made, I think, is peculiar. But let's say that there's some element of truth in what he had said, but I wouldn't use the comment that is bad to worse or...
Bad and worse.
No, bad and worse, or no, a disaster. No, I wouldn't use that. Because having come this far, I'm yet to ascertain where we are at, you know. But for me, what I'm thinking is what drives the government?
Or what drives the people in government?
Or what drives the people in government? What are our long-term strategy, like for Nigeria? Whether it's the worst government or the new one, what is the strategy? What's the long-term plan? So as soon as our leaders are, you know, come into focus, thinking in this line to know what the strategy is to move us from point A to point B, we would keep, you know, looking around, looking for the way out. So for now, I think we're still in the dark. We're yet to find our way out. We're still looking for that light.
Well, I mean, because you belong to currently the ruling party.
Yes, we're on a journey.
You keep saying this journey.
Yes, because you see, the word change is not a miracle word. It's a process. It's a transformational process. For a butterfly to move from larva stage to a beautiful butterfly, it has to go through the cocoon. It's a painful process. Prior to 2015, we had a peculiar structure of government. From 2015 up until now, we are trying to rebuild the economy. I tell people that, you know, prior to 2015, all we had was corruption. That was what was funding the economy, banking system, real estate, entertainment industry, creative, virtually everything. Now, that money had dried up. So everybody's feeling it. But it's a phase. Give us some time. You begin to see the fruits of the seeds that this present government is sowing, infrastructure-wise, economy-wise. Let me just give you one or two data. Number one, our dependency on rice has reduced.
Well, that's later here today. Obafemi, I really have to stop you. That's later here. Rice, we had already started this agricultural journey even before this present government. What do you say?
I think that all of us have to come to the table and agree that Nigeria is not in a good place. We now have the highest, in terms of numbers, highest number of poor people in the entire world. And we're not the most populous country in the world, probably 6th or 7th. We need to come on that table. I think too many times when we come on the table, we come on the partisan front. You voted this guy, so you're responsible. We need to sit down and agree that, first of all, the political structure of Nigeria does not even work in a way that would lift a lot of people out of poverty. First of all, the Nigerian Constitution of 1999, for instance, that treats our former leaders as though they are invalids to provide for everything for their lives. Because it's not like after you leave government, you become an invalid. So you should go earn your money.